So with the advent of crypto and the advancements it's creating in the world, there's so many governments that are trying to enter the crypto space and create their own cryptocurrencies. Countries that have tested this out, countries like Nigeria have started testing this out, but another country that's trying to test this out is the United States. So it's the CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. It's what it stands for. So yeah, a bunch of countries are testing this out. Nigeria is one of them. United States is talking about doing it. But what makes this super scary, and I don't think enough people are talking about the scary aspect of it, is the ability, the control that it allows, right? So what makes people super excited about crypto is the fact that it's decentralized, right? It's not controlled by any government. And you're going to have to watch a few documentaries about crypto to understand this. Basically, just to make this brief, the US dollar used to be backed by gold. Like literally every dollar was backed by gold. Now, what happened in 1971 is the US now went off of the gold standard. So now the dollar was no longer backed by the gold standard. What does this mean? It means the country could just print money, right? Because there was not enough gold to back it up. So they print money when they need money, they print money. And what does that happen? What happens when you print money when you need money? Inflation. Inflation goes up. What is inflation? It means that if today my dollar could buy me 10 oranges, tomorrow that dollar can only buy me 5 oranges. I'm giving you an example. That's an expensive orange by any standard, but I'm just giving you an example, right? So one day my dollar could buy 10. The next day it can only buy me 2. That's inflation. Right. So it caused hyperinflation after the US the dollar was no longer backed by the gold standard. Now, why is that problematic? Well, because the governments just print money when they need it. Right. We saw that happen with COVID. There was a situation with COVID. Let's just print more money. That's why a lot of people started investing in crypto, because crypto is finite, right? Ethereum, let's say Bitcoin, for example, is digital gold, is what they call it. And there is a finite amount of Bitcoin that is in the world. So that's why Bitcoin is so valuable. It's so much more valuable than $1, so much more, because it's finite, even though it's digital, right? What people love about Bitcoin is that it's decentralized, right? So it means it's not controlled by one government, but I'll talk about that in a bit, because I do not believe that crypto is decentralized. And how so? Crypto isn't decentralized because the people that create the currency are the people that control the currency. So we've heard about so many pump and dumps. There are people that made some Squid Game type cryptocurrency. People started investing in it, then they closed it down, took all the money and ran. So we look at the people who invent these cryptocurrencies. Yes, they create systems that gives them that doesn't give them access to the money, but literally you're putting all of your money into a system that is somebody controls it, but it's seen as decentralized just because I think people just like alternative moves. They just like the idea that they're not going to be controlled by their government, which is fine. But crypto is not decentralized technically. And at the end of the day, I would rather put my money into elected officials that I voted to be in office than some random person. We don't know who created Bitcoin, but we know the guy that created Ethereum, and I'm going to let him control my money, as opposed to, I don't know his values. I don't know what he believes in. He's just one individual. Thinking that he is a decentralized option than people that I elect into office, that doesn't make sense to me, right? But at the end of the day, value goes where people place value on, right? So society has decided that cryptocurrency is valuable, and therefore I do invest in crypto because it's valuable. So that's one way to look at it. Now, so why are governments doing this, and what is the scary aspect of governments doing it? So the pro is, like I said, you elect those people into office. Well, not all countries, but let's say the US, right? The US and every democracy that's starting these central bank digital currencies, We are electing them into office. Therefore, we can decide to change them, the people in power, and change the policies, right? So that's one way to look at it. Then the other way to look at it is this idea that they can implement policies with this digital currency to control us. Now, this girl made this really good video about this. Sorella Moore, I love her videos. She makes great videos. She has 2 channels. This is her finance channel, which is actually doing pretty well. So yeah, Sorella Moore, she made this video. She broke down how they can control us. But I'm just going to briefly state some of the things she mentioned. But for example, they could, like, this is why you guys have to vote for the people that you can't just only vote for the presidential election. You have to vote for House of Reps. You have to vote for a senatorial. Well, that's when the presidential, you have to vote for governors. You have to make sure the people that are passing the laws are in line with what you want to be implemented. So for example, they can decide that, oh, your money can expire. So like money, like when it's digital currency, imagine having, you have crypto, but what if that crypto expired? You have this money and it expires in 30 days. That prevents you from investing your money, growing your money, doing all the things that we normally do with money. It sounds far-fetched in US, but if you saw the other video where I talk about us having Trump trying to implement an autocratic government in America, it's not far-fetched. So I don't know that I can doubt that it would happen in the US, but they could decide we're going to make your money expire. Or if you're a criminal, they can attack your money and say your money expires because you're a criminal. That's kind of your fine. Or they can just decide they're going to take money out of your account. So there's, the idea that your money could expire so they can make you spend your money faster, right? If they wanted you to spend money, they would force you to spend money, and they could also control what you spend your money on. We hear about your carbon footprint, and we're having issues in the world with global warming and stuff like that. They could decide that each human being has a carbon footprint allotment, and they can't go over that. So if you purchase too many flights, maybe you can't buy any flights. So they can control what you're able to purchase with this digital currency, right? Because you guys have to understand the thing about crypto. If they could control the way that you spend your money, the thing about crypto, the thing about digital currency is that once it's digitized, it can be tracked, it can be traced, and it could be controlled. It gives them more control over your money than they have ever had before. So your money could expire. They could oversee your transactions. Like they can literally go into your banks and see how you spent your money. They can control what you're allowed to buy. They can give you a personal allowance on your carbon footprint. So there are many things that they could do to control the way that you spend money. And that in itself is scary. This idea that giving the government this much more power over us. And it sounds like obscure from a democratic government, even though it's kind of obscure. Donald Trump was the most surreal thing that could ever happen. I can't believe that he was president for 4 years, but it happened. So it sounds crazy, but it's not impossible. This is why we have to pay attention to politics. This is why we have to be on top of things so that we can push our country in the direction that we want to go in. It's so important to get involved in these matters to make sure that what you want is executed in the world. Now, so this idea of the governments doing digital currency, they can't necessarily stop us, but they could decide you're not allowed to buy crypto you're not allowed to exchange crypto with the CBDC. We know about Joe Biden trying to regulate crypto. So he signed an executive order on Wednesday mobilizing the Treasury Department to develop regulations for Americans currently using cryptocurrencies, while also calling on the Federal Reserve to investigate whether the country should create its own digital currency. That was March 10th. Very, very interesting stuff. Like regulating crypto, all these things. Problematic, if you ask me. They just want more and more control, and because of the way technology is moving and what technology allows you to do, they will have more control than they've ever had. And that's why if they are in a position where we have like the CBD, like central bank digital currency, if we do have that, then the amount we really have to stay on top of who we elect into office, how they maneuver, what their policies are. We have to make our voices heard because they can literally control everything that we do. And in a way, they're pushing us. Maybe we might not be in an autocratic leadership, but perhaps we could be in an autocratic system of life. Our livelihoods could be autocratically controlled, if that even makes sense. So the leaders might not be autocratic on paper, but the way that they control our lives through what we're allowed to buy, etc., and our freedoms might be autocratic. Now that's scary. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. Peace.